So basically, today is this Thank You Plant Medicine Day across the world. And the mission of this movement, let's say, it is to break the stigma, right, around plant medicine, and help people to those who are unaware, or those who still aware but still scared and thinks that they're drugs, and there are lots of confusing stories on the internet as well, right? So we don't want to promote really, but it's all about just expressing our gratitude. And of course, we don't want to also promote our kind of experience and say, yeah, go for plant medicine, it's a panacea for everything, it's going to solve all your problems, which is not true, right? But just genuine, from people who we treat, who treat plant medicine consciously, because there is lots of kind of unconscious use out there, right, as well.
Uriya, I'm curious. We met in the jungle, or we met in the hotel before going into the jungle to do an ayahuasca dieta. You were in the one after me. And I was curious, what led you to that? What guided you to want to sit with ayahuasca? Have you done it before, perhaps? I'm curious, how did ayahuasca and plant medicines in general, how did it come onto your path?
My plant medicine journey started with ayahuasca. And in general, I actually didn't really, maybe tried to smoke weed a couple of times in my life, and didn't really drink, actually haven't had alcohol for maybe 15 years now, and never smoked. So I kind of was a very nice girl until till like so anyway, I think it was coming to me from two different angles. One angle was through through art, and I was just trying to connect how you can expand consciousness through art. And like artists, like nowadays shamans, they tap into either unconscious or higher consciousness, or whatever you can call it, right? And then bring those information or gifts in this kind of form of art, right, to us, and encode it, let's say, in this form of art. And I started studying from that angle, and going back to the history, that from the dawn of humanity, when all this first cave paintings, all this first not kind of not practical kind of things, basically like zoomorphic figures and stuff, they all were created for some purpose, but it was then later discovered by archaeologists if they were created by shamans. All these clay figurines, little flutes, and and that's how I started kind of researching about shamanism, and how they get in their information, and then yeah, and through like how they get themselves into trance or altered states of consciousness. And it's not always with plant medicine, of course, but of course plant medicine, it was widely used in different parts of the world, right? And mushrooms for thousands of years. And that was fascinating. And at the same time, I was very curious about quantum physics, how the universe operates, and uh, the entanglement of everything, right? And then somehow it all started making sense, all that was, that shamans or and ancient yogis in tantra, they knew already, right, about energies, about consciousness, Shiva, Shakti. There's all this just started really kind of linking together with all these latest discoveries of quantum physics. Uh, and 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 at the same time, I've struggled with my older child. uh, Kind of, he was uh, struggling with our move from Holland to here to UK, and uh, he because he was only 16, and he had really great group of friends, who he, because we lived there for 7.5 years, and they, since from the very beginning, they were together, and for him it was very painful, when we moved here, and he couldn't find same connection here, and he kind of deviated, was I guess trying to soothe his pain, was trying different drugs, um and at first we, of course, we thought maybe it's a phase, but then it felt, when one of his friends passed away from overdose, that really scared me. And you I could see how it made him even more depressed, and lost. And of course, I tried to and in my life I always was drawn to natural, and I won't go deep into this, but I've had kind of disappointing experiences with conventional medicine, and I've been healing myself with kind of alternative ways, but not never said radical yet. But what you do, the mothers can do for their children, or it's not like, I would say the other way, it's our children, they're actually awakening us into our biggest spiritual teachers. So I just could see that, the way of rehab, or just not allowing him or whatever, it just doesn't work. And any other officially whatever exists help. First of all, the NHS and all the system is overwhelmed. I wouldn't say that, of course, everybody is bad there or not doing their job. They're just overwhelmed, right? There is lack of, but it's just not working, the way it is now. For whatever reasons, the system is just not working to help people, and all this kind of punitive measures as well, they're also not working. And the system is kind of uh, oriented to that as well. So it doesn't help, I mean, with addictions, right? And they don't go deep into why the person is addicted in the first place, right? It's like more focus on the abstinence from the substance and blaming the substance itself, when it's not about the substance. It's about, why do you have addictive personality in the first place, right? And because you can be addicted to anything, right? And it's not necessarily like street drugs or something, right? So anyway, I just started, it's kind of everything started linking together, you know, and then there was ayahuasca symposium in London. I went there, and there were lots of researchers from different parts of the world, and there were so many wonderful people there at the ayahuasca symposium, and from really young to quite old. And I was sitting there having lunch with this wonderful couple there who were like over 70, you know, and they're so peaceful and loving, and just like the energy, you know, they emanated was just like so serene. And I asked them if they tried ayahuasca before, and they were like, oh yeah, we did it like long time ago in California, you know, and that's basically saved our lives, you know. And and yeah, and there was like so much gratitude. And when one of the speakers asked, like, please raise your hands who tried ayahuasca, it was so strange to see that the majority of people raised their hands. And I was one of those that who didn't. I felt really actually embarrassed. I didn't. That and that's it. And there was this Don Gino Chakaruna, the only shaman invited to the symposium, right, to speak about plant medicine, basically from the source, speak about the mother ayahuasca, right? And he's, yeah, I mean, Don Gino is just, you know, yeah, his energy is just so wonderful and so humble, and so much wisdom. It's like the heart of Dalai Lama. But just you don't want to even compare to him to anyone else. He's just Don Gino Chakaruna. And I asked him, I went to him and asked him if they have spaces left, you know, in upcoming ceremonies. And he said that, yeah, I see that you have the calling. Yeah, we're all kind of booked, but I will find a place for you. And that's it. And that's how the journey began. Sorry, it was a long story, but I'm quite a nerd. Yeah, and I started, I guess, late. I wasn't, probably if I was in my, I don't know, late teens or 20s, I could just like, jump in without thinking. But I was a mom of 3 children already. So I had to be very conscious about decisions I make.
Beautiful. Yeah, thanks for sharing. You recently said that to me. You recently reminded me that, or told me that, because I was also at the ayahuasca symposium, and I just think that's so magical that we're both there, meeting Gino for the first time, and we didn't know we didn't know you were there. I didn't know you were there. You didn't know I was there. But yeah, Gino's energy was just. I mean, I at first I just felt so like, kind of like, really, what's the word, like, daunted by his presence, because I just felt I could feel his potency. I could feel his his embodiment, and there was a part of, and it just like his presence just really brought up such challenge within me, in myself, that I was carrying. And so that's, upon reflection, it just says that, you know, he's somebody, as in, I just didn't feel worthy. Like I that kind of worth kind of complex sort of energy that I was possessed with. I just felt so humbled by his presence. Yeah, and then we went to the same. So you managed to get into the dieta after me. I managed to get to the one before. And it was it was such an incredible experience. So why did I get into ayahuasca? Why did I discover? How did I discover ayahuasca? How did ayahuasca come on my path?
Yeah. How?
Um, so I think I discovered. Well, first of all, I discovered alcohol. I'm gonna start from the real beginning. I discovered alcohol, which really, I was going through crippling social anxiety because I went through quite a challenging boarding school experience. And it was quite a dog eat dog kind of experience. You got to be strong, or you got to hide, not be seen. So I went through that, and I was carrying a lot of social anxiety. And I was also really lonely. I just needed some connection. I needed friends. I needed allies. And I discovered alcohol, and that just completely eliminated all of my anxieties. And suddenly I was liberated to be free in that moment. And a bit of a lunatic as well, because it had been so built up, this desire to express myself and be seen. And so alcohol played its role on my journey. And then cannabis, discovering cannabis and seeing how it opened up my mind, and suddenly a new spark of curiosity of, well, what is this life about? What am I doing? What is the meaning of life? All this kind of stuff. And I discovered LSD, and just these deep philosophical existential questions. I was very much in my mind as well. I was very much in my mind, trying to kind of find a way, find happiness. And these really interesting questions were coming up, like, how is it that I'm alive? What are all these shapes and all these things that I'm seeing? And then suddenly, like, my mind is conceptualizing this as a laptop, this as software, Zoom. Where does all this framework come from? So these questions started to come up. And just the more that I sort of inquired into these lines of inquiry, the more that I discovered that I was carrying quite a lot of pain from my past. And I didn't really know what to do about it. And I kind of just followed the whole education system, finished school, went to college, and I was studying something I was interested in, music technology, but I was so anxious and I just couldn't learn anything. I was just constantly worrying about, is somebody going to flick a pencil at me or something, or am I going to be the butt of somebody else's joke, etc., etc. And then I continued, and I went to university, and I just followed the treadmill, conveyor belt. And I went to I discovered Terence McKenna, and I was really getting into philosophy, and Alan Watts. Not just people that are advocates for psychedelic plant medicines. I was really getting into thinkers that were thinking outside of the box and using beautiful language to articulate these beautiful concepts that were helping me to understand my own place in the universe. And Graham Hancock, and then people started talking about ayahuasca, and Graham Hancock was talking about his ayahuasca experience, and I started watching some documentaries. I watched one by Aubrey Marcus, and various other fantastic documentaries, and I could feel the medicine in the documentary. I could feel and I could see the transformation they were going through. Just gradually, I was beginning to feel like there is a way. Actually, I can heal. it's lots of people are saying that you can heal, and so I was kind of like, I was really, really intrigued. Yeah, I went to the ayahuasca symposium with the London Psychedelic Society that you mentioned as well, and met Don Gino, and his energy was just incredible. The Iqarar, the instruments, the family around him, Lisbeth. I can't remember if Manuel was there, but Lisbeth was there, and I could really get a sense of that tribe, authentic belonging, sense of belonging, and I wanted to belong in that kind of energy. And one thing led to another. I wound up in the jungle, yeah, did a 5-day dieta, sorry, a 10-day dieta, 5 ceremonies, 1 Kambo ceremony. We also did the painting workshop. It was really beautiful to kind of, yeah, express these experiences, these feelings, these processes, the visions onto paper. There's something about expressing ourselves through art, through medium, through music, that is so vivifying. It's so like enriching. It just brings life, just cranks it up, and you feel it so much more. And yeah, I had this powerful initiation, I could say, rites of passage. It felt like the first 20 minutes of the first ceremony, I was being shown unconditional love. I was being shown what it is to belong, not in a theoretical, conceptual kind of way, but in an embodied, this is what it feels like to belong. This is what it feels like to not have to worry about anything. This is what it feels like to be at home. This is where you belong. This is where you come from, and this is where you die. And everywhere in between, you can bring that energy to that. It came to me so clearly. This is my mission in this life, is to embody that and express that, and help guide people to that in themselves. And it was so clear to me, and it was like, right, I'm done. Like, let's go. Like, let's do another cup. I'm ready for the next teaching. Of course, it started to pick up again, and then I was shown the opposite of that. I was shown everything that was preventing me from embodying that in my day-to-day. It was very hellish, and it was a lot of fear that I was going through. It was the fear, as the vibration, as the emotion that's really kept me down. And it's still kind of landing today. It's 3 years later, and it's initiated me on this path of inner work, because I know what I'm doing. I know what my mission is, but the mission is to get there. I'm here now, and these are the energies I'm working with. These are the addictions I'm working with, that I'm learning to let go of. These are the things I'm learning to surrender. These are the things I'm learning to embody. And so that's really what landed and is landing, is that we have to do the work. If we want peace, if we want love, we really have to do the work. We have to go into the shadows of our beings and really face what we're afraid of, and learn to love it, learn to love every bit of it, and not judge it as good and bad, right or wrong, and embodying it all instead of seeking happiness, seeking wholeness. And so I moved to Glastonbury, and the journey continues.
And then we met again on another.
Yeah.
I had another ayahuasca experience. So what a journey, right? And yeah, and you still didn't show me the painting that you did in the jungle. I'm curious. So you must show me.
I'll show you.
Yeah. I mean, I can totally, I totally feel and can imagine what you've been through, because yeah, it was quite similar for me as well. But I guess, I've been living like for 40 years of my life, and never knew that that is what it is, that what uh, like true unconditional love is, you know. That's not what I thought it was, you know, the way I loved kids, you know, that was actually, I feel was more damaging, you know, it's like almost like I'm owning them. And also like, you know, it was, oh, you know, the mother was back then. And I think every, because nobody teaches us how to parent, right? But these plant um, teachers plant intelligence is just like enormously, I mean, in a way humbling, but at the same time, right? It's just can literally, because everything is out there, right? And we actually like it's all there. Not it's all here available to us. We just somehow got lost and disconnected, right? Deviated from our own true nature, which is, you know, this true love and just vitality and livelihood, just, you know, just living for the sake of just experiencing and expressing and exploring, right, and expressing your potential, right, um and instead you just grow up and yeah, trauma after trauma and then, you know, all this social conditioning, just you find yourself just completely um wiped out almost, right? Of your own authenticity, really. And of course, so what my first experience, which wasn't in the jungle first, uh, I had to go to a different country. So anyway, my first experience, yeah, I will never, of course, forget it. Uh, but I came with an agenda. I came with an agenda to fix my child, right? So this, and she wasn't that gentle to me. Yeah, I had to experience this ego death from the very beginning, you know, and was literally like I was drowning and I felt like, and my ego, even in this process, when I like suddenly stopped breathe, I felt like I can't breathe, you know, and suddenly there is nobody around me, like people left to, I don't know, toilet, and these assistants are also like, I guess, helping these people, you know, and I look around and Gino is like, really, I was across the tent, you know, far away, and it's dark, right? And I'm like, you know, like, I'm dying, I can't breathe, you know, somebody help me. And I thought with my mind that, oh my gosh, maybe I'm allergic to it, you know, and that, oh my gosh, I am probably allergic and I'm suffocating and nobody is like there to help me. And I was like, how stupid I was. Oh my gosh, you know, just like I left my children, everyone doing all this stupid stuff, you know, here. I'm just gonna stupidly die here. and, and then I suddenly just like, just, you know, felt kind, yeah, went unconscious, I guess. And I just saw myself suddenly like drowning. And I could see myself like in these movies, like you drown in this bubble. So like, you know, just literally. And and I wasn't scared suddenly, you know, because before it felt I was just terrified, you know, it was like this horror feeling, you know, that I'm dying. And suddenly it's just kind of like was so easy and nice. And it's not like I'm falling deep into darkness or something. I'm like, you know, I'm falling into sort of light and some nice kind of something enveloping me. And then this kind of this love and presence kind of, yeah, it's all showed up, you know, to me. So, and before that kind of my big ego death, big fat ego death experience, um, yeah, I was just like demanding almost like, because she was always in all my ayahuasca experience. I almost feel sorry for people who don't have this vivid visuals. I have like every other experience is just like mind blowing. and and I was just like, oh, she's showing me this, like, wow, you know, it's like just like this amusement state, right? And then I was like, oh, wait a second, I didn't come here to entertain myself, you know. I came here with an agenda, you know. Tell me, how can I help my son, you know? Show me, what do I do, and da da da. And she just shows me these beautiful, beautiful flowers, just like amazing flowers just growing, and just like, and I know that she's showing me like my son, and that this beautiful flower is my son. And I was like, that doesn't make sense, you know? And she's just like, just enjoy, just look at him, just love him, and just let him be, you know? That's it. That's all you need to do. I was like, no, you don't understand. He's like so low. He's just this and that, you know, and you know, I need to find the ways to, you know, help him, and you know, and then and when I say this flowers just like melts like slime, just, and it's like showing me like, oh, when you look at him like this, like he's a problem and he needs to be fixed, you know, that's when when you actually destroy him, you know, this way. And that was like so powerful. It was like, it's just like really occurred to me, you know. And then of course I started dwelling on this, like, oh my gosh, all my life I thought I was trying to be a good mother, and I was a shitty mother, the shittiest mother. You know, and I'm just like feeling so much guilt and shame, you know, and I felt that I just like not, you know, I and my this suicidal ideations just came, like, I'm not worthy to live, and and I think at this point then this came like, and now I'm actually gonna die, you know, I can't breathe now. Yeah. So fascinating. Yeah, it was very kind of scary experience. It was like so much in very first night. So I was really scared to go back. And um and I went to Gino, and I said, okay, I think I've seen enough, you know, you can keep the money for the rest of the nights. I'm going home. And he said, just go for a walk, to go to the forest, you know, just don't make your decisions, just stay, at least not leave, you know, just listen to your heart, you know, don't overthink. And yeah, and here I am, psychedelic preparation and integration coach. And well, wouldn't say like a real advocate for the um, consuming of plant medicine, but certainly appreciating. I mean, it's not like I'm not an advocate for them, but I just see that it comes with lots of yeah, if like big industry, big pharma gonna step in and take it, you know, just like, yeah, just don't wanna go, don't wanna go to that. If like it's gonna be decriminalized, but in the way that it's still gonna be controlled as everything in the Western world, you know, like in clinical way, and then they cannot like allow everyone just, I mean, grow or whatever, consume, or grow themselves, consume, because then the question of dosage, right, and all this, that it has to be, and then they extract just one active compound, like if it's magic mushroom, psilocybin, right, not, you know, just forgetting about, not forgetting, or not even, you know, there are lots of, I mean, talking about just chemically, there are so many other alkaloids, right, that but in the plant medicine, in the way it's, you know, and then when you, and like Gino said, if it's gonna, if we're gonna put it into a pill, right, and just sell it in a pharmacy in these boxes, shiny, packed in fully, whatever, you know, plastic, where is the spirit, you know? It's just I feel so much, you know, reverence and to plant medicine that I can see as being yeah, that it's gonna do the same if it's gonna be sort of put an appeal, right? And when people will start treating it as another magic pill, you know, to and expect instant gratification, kind of, right? That's not the way, because they show us the way, they give us the keys, show us the doors, and but then it's up to us to which door to we go through, and walk this path and integrate all these teachings into our life, right? So the walk begins way before we, right? Just when the calling starts, the calling to connect with plant medicine. We all agree, right? You feel it already. And it's not just an anticipation, right? It's not just that. That's how powerful they are. The changes, powerful changes begin when you just decide to accept that calling, right? And then you carry it for life. Right? Yesterday we chatted with some people at Kew Gardens when people were gathering, those people who also wanted to express their gratitude, appreciation to plant medicine. Yeah, this question at some point becomes irrelevant. Like, how many ceremonies did you sit, right? It's not about numbers, right? It's but the quality, but it's always, yeah, it's the quality of your experience, and those first experiences always stay strong in your mind, right? In your memory. It's a hero's journey that begins, and of course I had struggles with my husband to begin with, right? Like, because I was always kind of like tried to be a good mother, good wife, a good citizen, and all the bullshit. And then suddenly I announced that I'm leaving, and and I'm going to do ayahuasca, and yeah, it wasn't well received.
Mm.
I left with a kind of big fight, so and 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 I tried to, I've really just already, before even I tried it, because I've started meeting wonderful people, and it's like not even like, oh, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just suddenly I could see that everything is right with actually is they have everything that I want to have, and this is not like this, like Maria was on the call saying, not the cars or whatever, not the material stuff. It's this spark in their eyes, right? It's this energy they radiate. It's this their ways, how they're able to connect, and all this is just like changing most people so wonderfully if it's done in the right setting, right? Do you agree?
Yeah.
So and but then, so I never worried that he was like, what if you become addicted to it, and I was like, no, it's not addictive, it's blah, blah. And then, yeah, after my first experience with ayahuasca, half a year later, then I tell him that, oh, now I'm leaving not just to another country, I'm leaving to the jungle, deep to the jungle. And he's like, I knew that was a cult. I knew it was addictive. And yeah, so that stigma and this fear of that this plant medicine can be addictive, right? That's kind of another issue, I guess, that people need to understand, that it's just if you're addicted to something, right, you need it literally all the time. You get into stress, or any, yeah, as a way to escape or whatever. And this is going to do ayahuasca, for example, is a way to explore and expand deeper layers of you and this universe, and most of us have so many layers to heal as well, right? And so that's it. And it's not even though it's so amazingly profound and beautiful, right, experience, but at the same time, it takes lots and lots of courage from you to, and kind of you develop the skill to navigate through it, right? And it's not the experience that you would want to have every day, right? And be there and just never come back. Sometimes you feel like, oh my gosh, you don't want to come back, but that never happened. Yeah, stays. And yeah, so I
Yeah.
guess that's the thing.
Yeah, it's like the way I'd put it is it's like the addiction, what you mentioned about like feeling the need for something when the stress or when the anxiety or the depression or whatever it is becomes a little bit too overwhelming. I'm going to go towards this substance and I'll go towards this tendency to numb that, to eradicate that temporarily. And then it's still there. I just don't feel it in this moment, just have a bit of you know, it's ayahuasca is, and I suppose that would be like an example of the blue pill is numbing ourselves to the truth of what we're feeling with temporary releases. And then ayahuasca is like the red pill, and you're going straight to the core of that addiction, what's causing that addiction, that addiction. It's like the addiction is the symptom of a deeper layer of a wounding, a psychological pattern, or whatever it is that's causing pain or causing distress to the system. So ayahuasca is just going straight towards that and clearing it.
So
For
basically, it's not like running away from the storm, right? And hiding. You actually going straight into the eye of the storm and feel it with all intensity and just understand why you feel this way, right? And, you know, because, yeah, once you understand why, you know, then here's a path for you, kind of the key for you. Okay, now you know why. And sometimes it can be, you know, it just can be the layers of conditioning. That's just like, oh, is this why? You know, the truth is so simple. It's like, why we're all suffering here? You just realize that it's just the choices we make, right? And it's up to us. And then, yeah, sometimes you realize that you don't even need to look back, but it's just living fully in the present with but always this compassionate, loving awareness, right? And just making this true, honest choices that are true to our heart from now on, and not just, you know, regret about the past. I mean, can you change it? Not really, you know, just like, but yeah. Well, thank you, Harry.
Thank you, Uriya.
As usual, some wonderful conversations with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you, the plant medicine. Not only ayahuasca, yeah, all plant medicine, they're all teachers, all plants and the whole nature. It's just the whole nature. We are part of the nature, just we should never forget that.
We're coming home.